Do you know why your Australian visa is being delayed? In this video, I'm going to outline 7 reasons why your Australian visa might be delayed. And if you've already done your application and you're experiencing this delay, this video will also provide insight as to why your visa is being delayed. First on my list is your country of residence or citizenship. Countries have different categories. There are high-risk countries and there are low-risk countries. So high-risk countries are countries that are going through war or maybe have a very poor economy, high poverty rate and stuff like that. So the low-risk countries are countries that are exactly the opposite. So what happens is that if you're applying from a high risk country, there is this tendency that you might be scrutinized much more than someone applying from a lower risk country. And this is because of the trend that has been observed over the years, where people from high risk countries actually coming to Australia, maybe using a working holiday visa or a visitor visa or any other kind of visa. And then when the duration of their visa elapses, they do not want to return to their country. So this has been a trend for a very long time. And now the Australian government is now trying to scrutinize more the people who are coming from these high risk countries because they have a history of not going back to their countries after their visa expires. So if you are applying from a high risk country, and in case you do not know, Nigeria is classified as a high risk country. If you're applying from Nigeria, then this might be one of the reasons why your visa is being delayed. Now, the second on my list is incomplete or complicated documents. So when you are doing your Australian visa application, of course, you have to upload some documents, you have to upload some things to show the immigration in response to what the immigration guys ask you, right? So when you have to upload these documents and then there are inconsistencies recorded there, it might be a problem. For example, let's say you are asked to provide a marriage certificate or proof of relationship if you're applying to come with your partner and then you are unable to provide that and then you start seeking for maybe alternative things to marriage certificates. They show that you're in a relationship, but at the same time, those are not the documents that are required by the immigration. So what happens is that the immigration starts looking for further ways to verify that you're actually married. In the example I gave, you upload something that is not a marriage certificate, and now they want to actually verify that you're married. So it's going to take more time because they are going to ask you to upload more documents, upload proof of relationship. In fact, sometimes they might even go as far as telling you to upload evidence of communication for maybe the past 12 months just to verify that you are in a valid or true relationship or even in a de facto relationship with a particular person. So when you upload documents that are either incomplete or that are a little bit convoluted and complicated, they can actually cause your visa to be delayed. Now, another on my list, which is the third one, is mistakes in your visa application. This one is very, very common among people who are applying for the first time. So let's say you are applying for a student visa, subclass 500, and then you end up choosing a work visa 485 or 481, and then you make the mistake of filling these forms and sending it across. Yes, you might have everything required. Let's say you have the funding, you gotten a scholarship, you have everything that you need, but because you failed to apply for the proper visa or you made a mistake in your application, it might actually cause your visa being delayed. They don't just reject your visa because they feel like it. There is actually a reason for rejecting anyone's visa, or even if you applied for the right visa, let's say the subclass 500 visa, let's say you still did the right thing, but then you start putting inconsistent names. For example, my name is Ikechku Carlo and I come to a particular place and then I write Carlo Ikechku. Remember, Ikechku is my first name, Carlo is my surname. They have to be consistent throughout the application. So in any event where I start making them inconsistent, or let's say I use two names, Ikechku Carlo, and then I come to another document and write Ikechku S. Carlo, that it reveals two identities. These are two different people because of the names. So these mistakes actually cause delays because before they reject your visa, they want to know, hey, is this a mistake? And for them to confirm that this is a mistake, it takes some time because they have to get back to you, send you some, they send you an email to upload some documents required. And if they are not yet still convinced, then they might actually end up rejecting your visa. So if you want to avoid unnecessary delays in your visa application, you must look out for mistakes. And how do you do this? You have to be very, very thorough. There is usually no rush to doing this thing. So you can finish your application today and send it in next week. Why? So that you use between now and next week to read and read and read again to make sure that there are no mistakes. And trust me, it is very, very possible to make your application without any mistakes. Now, another on my list is high application volumes. So there are certain times of years when you make applications and it's going to get delayed, not just because of anything, but because so many people are applying at that particular time. Now, Australia is a very, very beautiful country. A lot of tourists like coming to Australia towards the end of the year. So if you make an application towards the end of the year, there is high chance that it might get delayed because the immigration have so many applications they have to cover. They have a lot of people they have to cater for, right? So what happens is that there are peak periods in this Australian immigration stuff. There are peak periods like this period I just mentioned, and I think sometime in June or so, there is also another peak period between that time. So if you are making an application and it is possible for you to avoid these peak periods, then it is the best because when you avoid this peak period, it makes your application to go through faster. Now, the next on my list is pending health examination, biometrics, and police checks. So for some visa categories, you are actually required to provide health examinations, biometrics, and also police checks. So if you are required to do this, and you don't get to do it on time, then it can cause a delay in your application. But what happens is that whenever you click the submit button for your Australian visa application, for example, the subclass 500, the student visa, you are automatically given the form for your health examination and your biometrics capture. So if you delay going to Lagos to do this, if you're applying from Nigeria, there are also other countries, maybe South Africa, they have where they do theirs, maybe in Pretoria or so, I don't know. But if you're applying from Nigeria, anywhere you are in Nigeria, you have to go to Lagos for the biometrics, right? The biometrics is usually done by, I think, VFS Global, and then the medicals, I think, IOM Medicals. So those guys are either in Lagos or in Abuja. So if you keep putting that off, your visa cannot proceed until you get these required documents. Also, for other visa types, visa categories like the work visa, you are required to do a police character check. So if your police character check is a little bit complicated or the result is not just clear as it should be, then it can also lead to significant delays in your visa application. And what happens is that, let's say you apply for a work visa and then you have lived in, let's say, 3 to 4 to 5 countries, you may be required to have police checks, police character checks from all those countries that you've lived in. So if you have to do this, then remember it might delay a little bit. Also, if the police checks are not really consistent, then it can lead to very long delay and might end up being a refusal. Now, the next one is background and security assessment. So this one is actually more for people who have lived in multiple countries. And sometimes these things are done by external agencies. So if the immigration have to contract this particular job to external agencies, then you can as well understand why it might take a lot of time because they are not the ones doing these checks themselves, right? So those guys, they have to do the checks and then get back to them before they can proceed with your application. But this is usually a little bit technical or complicated for high risk countries because they have to do more checks, they have to scrutinize more to really understand some things and also to be very, very satisfied that you are not a threat to their country in any way. But if the countries you've lived in are not high risk, then I think the process can be as seamless and straightforward as possible, and then you should expect something a little bit faster. But even at that, you should just understand that living in multiple countries can trigger them having to do multiple background checks on you and security checks. And if they have to do this, then in one way or the other, your visa might be delayed. Now, the last one I want to talk about is changes in policy. So, in Australia, sometimes the focus shifts. Let's say the government needs people from healthcare sector for 2026. Whenever they start getting visa requests, they start prioritizing the ones for people in healthcare sector because they need those guys in the country. So if you're applying and maybe you're applying for ICT or maybe some other sector, music or stuff, your visa might be delayed, not necessarily due to anything you did, but because of the country's requirements, the country's need at that particular time. Because when this change in policy happens, it's always advertised on the immigration website, and then they may tell you that the processing time for so and so course is maybe shorter now, and then they tell you that the other ones might be longer. For example, I think Australia is going to be hosting maybe Olympics sometime in 2031. I'm not sure. I have to verify. But with this, they might need more hands in the construction industry, right? They might need more hands in constructing hotels and constructing stadiums and constructing things that people will need when they come for that particular event and Olympics. So if this happens, you can expect that people who are in the construction industry, who are actually looking to come work in Australia, will have a faster response, and then they will be given more priority than other people who also want to work in Australia. Even if those people have very accurate or very nice visa application, they might get delayed because the country policy has changed as at that time. So that's why it is very, very good for you to always be up to date, always visit the immigration website every time. As long as this is something you are intending to do, it is good for you to stay abreast with the new developments, new information, so that whenever there is a change in policy, you also put that into your calculation and also include that in your application if need be. So, in case you don't know, my name is Kechi Kukalo, and I've been living in Australia for the past for almost 3 years now. And I like sharing immigration tips, visa application tips. I'm mostly focused on student visa. So, if you would like to know more about this, then please click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be dropping more tips on Australian immigration. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and I expect to see you next time. Bye for now.